gonna take forever and ever. Let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Searching everywhere just to find a reason for misunderstanding and doubts. I don't want to preach it, push it up, teach it. Just take a good look all around and let it go. Let it flow like a river, let it go. Let it flow through you, let it go. Let it flow like a river, let it go. Let it flow through you. Was it gonna follow the angels gonna call on you to help you on your way? Time spent together like now is forever. Don't you ever let this smile slip away. Let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Oh, let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Let it go. Let it flow like a river. Let it go. Let it flow through you. Please join me in prayer. I'm so glad that we get to come together again in the knowledge that there's only one perfect life that manifests itself in all of creation, including becoming what it loves, and that would be each and every one of us and everyone, everywhere. We know that everything that takes place here today will be absolutely perfect, and that everyone here will hear the message that they need for the nourishment of their minds and their souls and spirits. Spirit will speak through young Dr. David and deliver this message of hope and connection as we explore the transformation that takes place when we step into this oneness and recognize it in all the glory and beauty that it is. I'm grateful for each and every divine being that has come together here today to make this celebration absolutely perfect in every way, and I know that it will be that way. I give thanks for all who will come within the sound of our voices to hear this message of love, hope, and connection. And I give thanks for each and every unique expression of the divine in this space and everywhere on planet Earth and in this universe. I release these words in the divine law where they're already done in that divine universal mind. I let this go, I let it be. Together we affirm, and so it is. And I've got some, what I hope to be very inspiring words for us today. I didn't know Rick was going to be here. I'd have spent more time to make sure I don't flub it. But he won't give me a hard time, not publicly. Our first words of inspiration come from Benjamin McBride. The wrong first question is, what do I need to do? The right first question is, who do I need to become? From Sean Ginwright, author of The Four Pivots. Kinship is the deep sense of feeling connected to a history, people, and a place to which you belong. It's a sacred bond that anchors relationships among people. Kin, kinship, kinfolk, next of kin, and kindred are all forms of belonging to a people, place, and a history that gives meaning to our lives. And lastly, from our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes. All are alike. There's no difference between one person and another. Come to see all as a divine idea. Stop all negative thought. Think only about you want and never about what you don't want, as that would cause a false creation.
Well, good afternoon, New Dawn. It's a new day at New Dawn. How good it is to be with you. And yes, Rick and I are so pleased and so happy to welcome our dear friend and beloved colleague, Dr. Jody Whitley. So thank you for joining us. And yes, as was already highlighted by Mickey so beautifully, Rick and I are really excited about our workshop that we're offering next week. I'm going to be talking about the labyrinth and diving into a little bit more detail if you've walked it or if you haven't walked it. The bottom line is the labyrinth has appeared in virtually every society since the beginning of creation. They are in all shapes, they are in all sizes, there's no wrong way. I clearly have a right way that I will invite you. No. So we're going to talk about using the labyrinth as a spiritual tool. That's going to be the inward work. And then Rick is going to invite you into the concept of ikigai, which is the Japanese philosophy of extraordinary long life. And as a part of that then, once he finishes with that piece, we are going to invite you into a brief watercolor painting workshop where you will paint on a labyrinth. No previous artwork or no previous experience is necessary. Trust me, if I can do it, you are most welcome. We do have a few folks signed up. We'd love to have you join us next Sunday from 3 to 5. So thank you for that. Let's see. Yeah, the Broncos are still undefeated, 1-0. I love the Bronco shirts in the back row. So that's kind of exciting. And yes, this is the second of a 4-part series on the book by Sean Ginwright, The Four Pivots. And what Dr. Sean is inviting us into is when something isn't right. We all know that. We've already done it through all of our adult lives. We pivot, we shift. So last week, we talked a little bit about the first pivot, let's see, which was seeing through mirrors instead of lenses. And this week, we are stepping into the powerful work of moving from transaction into transformation. And as I share with you every week, in the ballroom, if you dance only to get it right, you miss the magic. The transformation happens when partners stop counting steps and start moving together, yeah? So there was a couple who came into class arguing about who was offbeat. One kept saying, "You're late on the turn." The other one shot back, "No, you're rushing the step." Finally, the teacher stopped the music and said, "Stop counting and hold each other." When they relaxed into connection, the music carried them effortlessly. And isn't that what we experience in our own lives? We get so busy keeping score, who gave more, who owes who or whom, who called last, who sent the last text, that we miss the deeper dance of connection. So that's what we're looking at today. So in the second pivot then, Sean invites us into when our relationships move beyond exchange, they become spaces of healing, of possibility and joy. Now, I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth or any feelings in anybody's mind or heart. So I'm only speaking for myself when I say that one of my challenges with the current political climate in our country at this point is it feels 100% transactional to me. You do this, I will do that. You do this for me, I will do this for you. You stop doing that, then we will, move into this. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with transactions, right? That is how we function. That is what we do as human beings on the planet. My challenge comes with there not being any other elements along with the transaction. So our conversation today is moving beyond transaction, so into transformation. The first point I wanted to offer you is moving beyond scorekeeping. Ernest Holmes reminds us there's a givingness to life that accounts for all that is. So we can never keep score enough, right? We can never outgive God. We can never keep score enough to get ahead in the spiritual world. When I think of keeping score, it reminds me of a not very proud moment in the history of the Goldberg family. My father was a coach, and an extraordinarily good one. We went from baseball season to football season to baseball season to football season. Both of my brothers were really good athletes. Me, not so much. And so it was, my dad was coaching either B Legion or A Legion baseball one summer. Both of my brothers were playing for him. I had two jobs. I was bat boy / concessionaire. I ran the concession stand. So it was a particularly contentious, hot day. And my dad got a little overactivated, shall we say, at a call by the umpire. And my dad is going on and on and on. And this ump is doing what they do, right? He took it for a certain amount of time, and then he gave my dad a warning. He said, "Coach, get back to the dugout, or I will eject you from the game." Well, and my dad just kept doing what some coaches do, and the umpire said, "You're out." He threw my dad out of the game. My oldest brother, being my oldest brother, jumped right up there and took up where my dad left off. The ump didn't bother with a warning. He said, "You're out." My second brother, the catcher, who was this close to the umpire, right, had to stick up for his dad and his big brother. He starts mouthing off to the umpire. The umpire, "You got it. You're out." He throws out my brother. Well, my whole family's been ejected from the game. And I'm the concessionaire and I'm the bat boy. And so, I have to stick up for my family. And I said, "You are so powerful. Why don't you throw out the bat boy?" And he said, "You, out." The pièce de résistance that makes this a 3-generation affair within the Goldberg family. My 86-year-old grandmother, sitting in the stands, sitting on the bleachers with her umbrella because it was such a hot day, goes up to the backstop. She's beating on the backstop with her umbrella. Her whole family's been kicked out of this game. The umpire says, "Will somebody get that old lady out of here?" So yes, the umpire was keeping score, and my entire family was ejected from the game. That was an interesting dinner conversation that night. So what do we do to move beyond scorekeeping? we get to be in we get to be in that place that we continue to explore around what else might be true. It's okay. We can keep score, and there are other ways that we can choose to engage. One of those is healing through presence, right? Was it Woody Allen who said 80% of life is just showing up? You get credit for being present. You get credit for physically taking yourself into a space. As I've shared with you, my late partner and I were together for 18 years when he had a heart attack and died and was gone. And I was signed up for a men's retreat at Mile High. And all of the male ministers were going to be there, Roger and Lloyd and Barry and Raz and the whole gang. And honestly, I didn't know enough to be impressed with all of that. I just knew that I needed and wanted to be in that energy. So my partner died. I was signed up for this thing 2 or 3 weeks later. And do I go? Do I not go? Blah, blah, blah. And I decided, I gave myself permission, that if I just showed up at the retreat center in Estes Park, I could do whatever I want. I could go to the events, I could not, I could sleep, I could walk, I could hike, I could meditate, I could talk, as long as I showed up. And so there were right at 100 men there for this particular retreat weekend. And I was new to the church, I didn't know anybody, so I go strolling into this room, probably about this size, with 100 guys all talking and milling about. And I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Raz, Reverend Raz Smith." And I said, "Hi, I'm David Goldberg." And he grabs my hand, and we're standing there. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes walking up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Barry, Reverend Barry Ebert." So out of 100 men, out of 6 ministers, I literally have 2 of them anchoring me in this space. I didn't know them, they didn't know me. That, my friends, is spirit at work. That is healing through presence. As I've also shared with you, I am truly honored to be able to support people through funerals and memorials. And I officiated another memorial last week, and this fellow had retired from the Denver Fire Department after 32 years of service. And he had been the union president for 6 of those years. So the whole place was just buzzing with all of the whole firefighter family, the whole Denver PD and other departments. The antique fire truck is parked in the driveway, and it's really extraordinary. And the family, in our conversations when we first connected, they said, "We, the family, the children, we are religious. Our father was not. So to honor our father, no disrespect, we don't want Bible. We don't want spirituality. We don't want religion. We want a secular service." I said, "I can do that. God doesn't care." So I did that, and then I see somebody walking in the door, a priest. And he looks like he could have been my son or my grandson. And I went up and I introduced myself. I said, "Hello, I'm Reverend Dr. David Goldberg." He said, "Hi, I'm Father Paul." I said, "Hi, Father Paul, welcome." And he immediately launched in, I don't know if he got the memo or what his deal was, he immediately launched into, "I am not here in any official capacity. I am just here to offer my presence and the energy of all of the chaplains within the Denver Fire Department." Good for Father Paul. He got credit just for showing up. The other piece of that really speaks to my heart around healing through presence. My brother and sister-in-law were married for 38 years. And I actually knew my sister-in-law first. We went to Colorado State together. And she met my brother at my graduation party. And 9 months later, they were married. Went on to have a beautiful family. Fast forward to New Year's Eve, 2019, my sister-in-law, who grew up with horses, she had a horse before she could walk. She was riding on my nephew's ranch, and the horse zigged and she zagged, and she fell off of the horse and broke her neck. And she died the next day. She died New Year's Day 2020. Fast forward then, a couple of 2 or 3 years later, my brother falls in love with the president of his bank in Colorado Springs. And she is an extraordinary being. I love her with my whole heart. Doug and Robin decide to get married. They asked me to do the wedding. I'm very honored to do that. And I had this conversation with my brother before the wedding. I said, Duggar, he had 3 boys. I said, how are the boys adjusting to this? He said, Dave, it's been really interesting. He said, they homeschooled the boys, and then they went on to Colorado Christian College, or Colorado CSCS, Colorado Springs Christian School. They're part of the evangelical community in Colorado Springs. He said, whenever the boys started getting serious about a girl, we would ask them 2 questions. Do you love her? And does she accept Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior? And so now the boys are asking me, do you love her? Yes, I do, very much. Does she accept Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior? Not so much. So he said, I don't know if it's karma. I don't know if it's payback. And the boys have every right to ask me that question. And I fell in love with somebody who is of a different belief system than me. And we're very much in love, and we're gonna go forward with this. So we're the day of my brother's wedding to his new bride. All 3 of my nephews show up in different ways. The oldest has 2 little ones, so he gets to be distracted by his kids. He gets to be in dad mode. That works for him. The middle one is very busy in business, so he gets to show up late, and he gets to be on his phone, and he doesn't have to pay full attention to it, and so that's his defense mechanism. The youngest one, the youngest of 3 boys, not unlike his Uncle Dave, is a bit of a wild child, has a little too much to drink at the reception. He's out there dancing with his nephews, right, and throwing them around and doing what good uncles do, and he takes a tumble, and he does a face plant, face first onto a solid concrete pad, breaks his front tooth at his dad's wedding. And, I'm trying to let my brother and sister-in-law have their moment and take care of my nephew. So we go outside. I'm sitting by him. He's pretty darn toasted, but he's still feeling some pain. I'm holding his tooth in one hand. I've got my arm around him. I'm like, Trevor, we'll get you to a dentist as soon as we can. What do you need? And he said, Uncle Dave, it just hurts. And all 3 of those boys showed up for their dad. It wasn't where they wanted to be. It wasn't what they wanted to be doing. But that is healing through presence. And that's what they provided for their father. And I think Oprah also said it beautifully when she said, what everyone wants most is to be seen, heard, and valued. Isn't that something what we would all strive toward? And then finally, my friends, I would point us toward community as transformation, which is another thing that New Dawn does so well. When a community stops asking, what can I get? And starts asking, what are we to create together for our foster grandparents, for the giant souls with short legs, for anybody that we're calling in, for our own community? That is where miracles happen. Churches become sanctuaries. Families become healing circles. Archbishop Desmond Tutu wrote, we are made for goodness, for love, and for compassion. And that is how this community shows up. Being also a bit of a political scientist, I love all things political. And when we talk about community as transformation, I'm reminded of the quote from JFK that says, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And we can bring that down to the micro level and insert the word community. And we can take that to the macro level and insert the word universe, right? Wherever it resonates with you, wherever it lands, wherever it calls. That, my friends, is the higher dance with spirit. Now, to be sure, it's hard not to keep score sometimes. Rick and I were just out with some dear friends of ours, Jody, whom you also know. We were out with Barbara and Paul Barrett for Barbara's birthday. We had a lovely meal, a wonderful conversation. Rick and I decided to share a dessert. And I was feeling less than ministerial, and I was watching the size of his bites. And he got a little bit more ice cream in that one than I did, so... And he got a little bit more of the chocolate lava cake than I did. So sometimes it's hard not to keep score. But that is our journey. That is what we get to pay attention to. And regardless of the score, the cake was delicious. And that's what I'm inviting us into as a community as well. So what does this look like for us? What does this look like for New Dawn? And how do we put this into application? Well, here we live our faith through transforming relationships into spaces of healing. We live our faith through living from abundance, not transaction. And we live our faith through choosing joy over keeping score. Would you join me in prayer, please? Practitioners, if you'd rise and join us in consciousness. Beloved Spirit, today we release the need to keep accounts. We open to the givingness of life itself. May our relationships transform into spaces of healing. May our community be a place of joy. May our hearts overflow with the abundance of love. And as we go forth on this day, then, releasing the human need to keep score, greeting all with the kindness, with the love that is Namaste, the divinity in me, blessing and recognizing the divinity in all. I simply say thank you. And once again, all is well. I release, I let go, I simply allow it to be. And we anchor this together by saying, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are.
When it's not always raining, there'll be days like this. When there's no one complaining, there'll be days like this. Everything falls into place like the flick of a switch. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. When you don't need to worry, there'll be days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there'll be days like this. When you don't get betrayed by that old Judas kiss. Oh, my mama told me there'll be days like this. When you don't need an answer, there'll be days like this. When you don't need a chancer, there'll be days like this. When all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit, I must remember there'll be days like this. When everyone is up front and they're not playing tricks. When you don't have no freeloaders out to get their kicks. When it's nobody's business the way that you want to live. I just have to remember there'll be days like this. When no one steps on your dreams, there'll be days like this. When people understand what you mean, There'll be days like this when you ring out the changes of how everything fits. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Na 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 na. Yeah, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this. Well, my mama told me there'll be days like this.